All right, welcome back. We got our crypto market update. It's been a while since we've talked about crypto. Price action has been relatively flat over the last handful of months. We're still nicely in the green, but we've got a lot of regulatory news and some stock market news when it comes to crypto and the institutional adoption that is happening right in front of our eyes. So we're going to mainly talk about that. But first, let's talk about some of the price action here. We got a 3-month heat map. Bitcoin up 29%, Ethereum up 36%, and everything else is relatively mixed. Definitely all these altcoins are underperforming Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's where the big money is looking at. Everything else is kind of being left behind, and there's just too many names, too many narratives here. To me, this whole sector of crypto is still uninteresting, and definitely with some of these other crypto equities that we're going to talk about here in a moment, that's where a lot of the activity is. That is where the money is flowing, not into these altcoins. We are not in alt season yet. Who knows when that'll start off. So let's go ahead and get into some of the news. The big news here, we're going to start off with the Genius Act, or the stablecoin regulation. So this was passed in the Senate, and it was a bipartisan vote, and it wasn't even close. 68-30 voted in favor of this, and this created the first ever U.S. framework for stablecoin issuers. It mandates 1-for-1 reserve backing and monthly audits for these stablecoin issuers. So this is making sure that if you buy a stablecoin in the United States, that stablecoin is backed with U.S. treasuries and that they're actually there. So that's great news there, and this is going to help push the adoption of stablecoins for financial institutions, individuals, global adoption, because it's also going to prove the legitimacy of that stablecoin. And this is also good for the United States because we're allowing another large buyer of treasuries. We have so much debt, we're issuing so many bonds, someone needs to buy these things. So the stablecoin issuers are going to be a large buyer, so they can make sure that they are backed 1-for-1. So that is good news there. Next on the agenda here, the money printing and Bitcoin. So we had another bill passed last night, the big beautiful bill, and a lot of spending coming our way. So we are going to take a quick look here at the global money supply chart, and that is here in white. This is the global money supply. You can see it goes up, it flattens out, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up. And here we are now at all-time high for the global money supply. And if we overlay a chart of Bitcoin, you can see that it's mirroring it pretty well. So what we're looking at here is we're seeing if Bitcoin looks like it has some catch-up to do with the global money supply, because we've seen in the past these match up pretty well, and Bitcoin's got potentially a clear path over 150 in the price, 150,000, if we catch up to the global money supply. And this number isn't slowing down anytime soon with the spending that we're about to see. So it's going to be pretty interesting these next few months. It feels like things are boiling up for a melt up in price for Bitcoin and maybe some of these other crypto assets. So let's go back to our news. Next here is Tom Lee came out this week, and he is looking to start a Ethereum treasury company. So we'll look at all these companies in just a moment, but we've got these Bitcoin treasury companies like a MicroStrategy, where there's a business and they're taking profits and investing those profits into Bitcoin. GameStop is another one. There's MetaPlanet, that's another one, and there's a few of these companies that are starting to add Bitcoin to their balance sheet. Tesla has had Bitcoin on their balance sheet for a long time. They're not actively adding more Bitcoin, but they wanted to diversify their cash that they had on the balance sheet and go buy another asset. Palantir is a company that has cash and a lot of gold on their balance sheet to help offset the inflation. They want to have a strong balance sheet, but they know cash is not going to keep up with inflation, so they added gold to their balance sheet. That move for them has worked out very well, as gold has been on a nice move as well. So you're seeing a lot more of these institutions say, hey, we need to hold a little less cash. We use cash to service our day-to-day needs when it comes to spending, but when we're looking to save money, we don't want to save in cash. We're going to save in other assets, gold and Bitcoin is some of those assets these companies are turning towards. So I don't see this slowing down anytime soon. These MicroStrategy copycats, is it going to work out for them like a MicroStrategy? We'll have to wait and see. But this is just, again, another sign that the institutions are starting to adopt crypto and Bitcoin. Let's see here. Circle IPO. So this is one of the largest I think the 7th largest IPO we've had in 10 years. There was some number like that, but this is the USDC issuer, so the largest stablecoin issuer in the United States. Number 2 in the world. Number 1 is Tether, and these companies are very efficient. They don't need a lot of employees, and they really just print money because they're able to issue a stable coin. They're buying treasuries, and they're clipping that 4.5% coupon on those treasury bills, and then they pay some of that out in interest to some of the qualified holders of these USDC tokens. But not everyone stakes, not everyone gets interest. Those people that don't get interest, USDC gets to keep all that interest. So they're looking pretty nice here. So they IPO'd this year. They raised 1.1 billion and doubled its valuation, which I think this is out of date. They raised at the valuation. They went public at that 18 to 20 billion dollar valuation. I think they're $80 billion market cap now. They just skyrocketed. So again, the demand to own this type of company, you see it there. And when we look at some of these other crypto companies, they're doing very, very well in the stock market. So Circle is also applying for a bank license. We'll see how that looks. And they're looking to custody tokenized assets as well. So speaking of tokenized assets, this week you had Robinhood and Coinbase, and I believe there was another company that are filing with the SEC to help bring on this tokenization of assets like stocks, bonds, real estate, and other fiat-based assets. So this is, to me, one of the largest use cases for the blockchain. And Robinhood and Coinbase starting with tokenized stocks, I think is going to be a great way for people to dabble into this. And then we'll see how fast that gets adopted and then how quick that spreads to other assets. But this is going to be very interesting, how quick that they can expand these services. And I'm pretty excited for this. So we'll look at Coinbase and Robinhood in just a moment. And when it comes to this, these tokenized assets, USDC, these are all built on Ethereum. So a huge bull case here for Ethereum. And we will see if the price can actually do something, because it hasn't gone anywhere in the last couple of years. Let's see here. There was also a Solana ETF that was launched. This kind of went under the radar, and this is a staking ETF. So this is a company that is buying Solana, they're holding it, they're staking it, and then they're issuing an ETF that also has a dividend with the profits from the staked Solana that they have. We still don't have a staked Ethereum ETF. I'm kind of surprised that this one came before the Ethereum staking ETF, but it's good to see. We're going to see more ETFs. You're going to see a Dogecoin ETF. You're going to see a XRP ETF. You'll see all kinds of coins issue an ETF, because if you're an investment advisor, you can't go on to Coinbase and buy this for your you can't go buy Dogecoin for your clients if they really want it. You can't buy Solana for your client until now, but you can go buy IBIT, which is the Bitcoin ETF, and there's Ethereum ETFs out there. So now we're just going to see ETFs for all these other assets, and we'll see if there's enough demand to keep them around. But again, it's just giving another these institutional buyers opportunities to get exposure to these asset classes. So I think that's about it for the news. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these charts. Let's start off here. We'll just start off with Bitcoin. So again, we're just consolidating here near all-time highs. I feel very good about this move. Like we talked about with the money supply, I think we are ready to make our next leg up here within the next few months. And if Bitcoin makes its next move up, I think Ethereum is going to make its next move up. And we will see if we get the other coins to make their move as well. But Ethereum here, nowhere near all-time highs. And that's the case for a lot of these altcoins. Solana, same thing, nowhere near its all-time high. All-time high was 295. We're half of that. Let's take a look. We'll just pull up Dogecoin just because people know what it is. Nowhere near its all-time high. So we are nowhere close, and there's no rhyme or reason for some of these coins to make their next move up. There's just so much attention going into Bitcoin and then these crypto equities that we're going to look at right now. So a lot of these altcoins like Solana, Ethereum, they don't have the juice that Bitcoin has, and they definitely don't have the juice of a Robinhood. They don't have a juice of a Metaplanet, which this is a Japanese hotel company that turned into a Bitcoin treasury company. So you can see here when they adopted the Bitcoin strategy, their stock went from $1 to $10. Let's see here. Here's the Solana ETF, brand new. Here's the Ethereum ETF. Let's take a look at Coinbase. Coinbase near its all-time highs. Again, altcoins, no attention, but these crypto equities getting a lot of attention. And these companies have revenue and they have exposure to crypto. So you're seeing institutions are the big money is much rather, would much rather hold these companies rather than the altcoins that really rely on attention and narrative. Let's take a look at MicroStrategy. Consolidating here near its all-time high. I don't know what this wick was, but still doing pretty well here for MicroStrategy. And here is the Circle IPO. So again, IPO'd at $60 and had a high of $300 within a month. Its market cap is currently $43 billion. I believe when it was up here, it was getting a little crazy. Its market cap was higher than Coinbase. Now, Coinbase does get 50% of all of Circle's revenue. Coinbase, I believe, invested in Circle, or yeah, I think they're a partial owner of Circle. So Circle does well, Coinbase does well, and vice versa. Let's see. This is the Bitmain. This is the company that Tom Lee partnered with to look to establish a Ethereum treasury reserve, and it went up 130% in a day. So I would not be chasing some of these crypto equities, but again, this just shows where the money is flowing, not these altcoins. Here's HBAR, just not doing anything. There's just no attention here on these guys. The miners, I don't like the miners at all. I would rather hold MicroStrategy. I'd rather hold IBIT. I'd rather hold something else. Even Square, just not a lot of, wow, Square is way down. So is PayPal, but these aren't really crypto stocks. They have other underlying businesses. So the more pure play names like a MicroStrategy, a Coinbase, a Robinhood, these are where the money is flowing. And if you look at IBIT, this is probably the best way for most people to get exposure to Bitcoin. It looks just like Bitcoin. This is the Grayscale, or I'm sorry, the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF, and these ETFs have done really well. So I believe this is the fastest ETF to reach over $75 billion in AUM, and that is again showing how fast the institutions are adopting Bitcoin and crypto, but not everything else. So potentially we're going to see the adoption of Ethereum and tokenized assets and stable coins, and maybe that will reflect on the Ethereum price. But as you can see here, we got a long ways to go here before we even get to the all-time high. So that is the crypto market update. No other news to talk about. A lot of good things that are percolating here in the government, and some other things we're looking to watch in the near future is the Genius Act final signing. We've got Circle's bank trust approval, the Bitcoin treasury adoption rates in public companies. Is anyone else going to add more Bitcoin to their balance sheet? And the ETF flows with the new Solana ETF, Ethereum still doing strong, and Bitcoin doing very strong. And when will we get the Ethereum staking ETF? So that's what I'm looking for next. And until then, I will keep stacking up some Bitcoin and IBIT, and we'll look to see if Ethereum provides some opportunity in the next few months. So take it easy, everybody. Crypto's risky. Do your research. This is not financial advice. It's a guy in a tank top talking to his computer by himself. So that's all I got for you guys. Have a great 4th of July. and peace out.